There's a couple of important differences between PFAS and the way that it behaves versus some of the more traditional contaminants that we have. So the first one is PFAS is very soluble. It goes into the water phase and travels with the water, and thus is pretty mobile. Because it's soluble and doesn't stick to the soil like some of these other chemicals, it may move faster if it's in the same plume as something like TCE or something like gasoline. The other thing that is unique about PFAS is it's persistent. That carbon-fluorine bond is really hard to break apart, so there aren't a lot of natural processes that break PFAS down in the ground. It usually stays there. The last thing that is unique somewhat about PFAS is it's bioaccumulative. So if someone were to be exposed to it through drinking water or any other way, it will build up in their fat cells, and over time, if with repeated exposure, the levels in the body will continually go up. Well, because we're sampling to a really low level and PFAS are present in so many commercial products, there's a potential for the things that we wear and the things that we use while sampling to impact the sample results. So what we've tried to do is make sure that our staff, when they are sampling, are keeping as many of those products as possible out of the system. So things like cosmetics and sunscreen and Teflon liners and certain types of plastics, trying to make sure that those aren't involved in the sampling to make sure we're not having false positives, because this data that we're basing this on at such low levels can have really high monetary impacts if you're deciding on a remediation system. Well, there's a couple of things with PFAS remediation that are different than a lot of the other contaminants that we deal with. One of the most critical is that there aren't any good ways right now to break PFAS down in the ground. So generally we have to pump it up out of the ground and deal with it at the surface. And the way that most people are doing that right now is through activated carbon. So the PFAS sticks to the activated carbon, and then you take the activated carbon somewhere and you put it through usually an incineration process to break down the PFAS. The other way that people are remediating PFAS above ground is through ion exchange. And so that's another way that it gets taken out of the water stream. It's kind of concentrated, then you have to deal with it elsewhere.